Hey folks, it's Angel. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're looking at a really fun one. This is the Wings42 Boeing 247D. Now, why do I say this is the fun one? Well, this is the father of all airliners. So you airliner jockeys might want to pay attention to this. Now, this aircraft has some really cool features. Engine systems depth, AI bursts, yes, bursts even. Ramp guys? Word? English? Either way. So what's about this aircraft that makes it interesting? Now, this was the first, as I mentioned, real airliner, modern airliner. So it had a semi-monocoque fuselage with a cantilevered wing, retractable gear, including control surface trim tabs, autopilot, and de-icing boots on the wings and tailplane. Surprisingly modern. Now, of course, it didn't have things like pressurization until the Boeing 307 Stratoliner, but this aircraft came out in 1933, which makes it quite an early one. Overall, speed of this aircraft is to roughly 170 knots max with 164 cruise, so pretty reasonable for the time, and a range of about nearly 650 nautical miles. This aircraft could get up to about 25,000 feet, but it wouldn't really do very well up there. Now, it has a bunch of liveries that come with it, of course, including some retro airlines, which is quite cool. But the really interesting thing about this sim is the proper Tronic physics engine, which is a proprietary thing by Wings42. They used it in their Vega, the Lockheed Vega from E3D/FSX, and this overrides a lot of MSFS's internal calculations and modules, shall we call them? Because the sim in Flight Sim is modular, so you'll have a prop module, you'll have a gear module, control surface module, that sort of thing, and these things handle the physics of those objects. Now, this bypasses all of that to do things like the electrics, lubrication, heat exchange between different components in the surrounding air, instrument needle movement, engine temperature for the 18 cylinders in each engine, and this has WASP engines, of course, Pratt & Whitney WASPs, propeller feathering, which works, and malfunctions and wear and tear. So, let's go inside and take a look at this aircraft, because big honk when you load in, that's just a thing. So, windows you can click and drag open, which is rather nice. We'll leave that closed for now because this is really noisy when it starts. But the first thing I will do is I'm going to go to our clipboard here. Now, you'll see some of these things are set to various things they shouldn't be. That's because I've been playing with this and it remembers the state you leave it in. So let's go to weight and balance. Actually, first one, performance data. All the information you could possibly want to use, which is really useful there. Of course, we see our takeoff prop or manifold should be about 36 inches. Which, as you see on there, is the top of the white. Of course, you've got your oil gauges, engine RPM gauges there. And here's a cool little feature. I can tap on the glass, see if it's working. Yeah, that is kind of epic. Never seen that done in the sim before. So, of course, we have all those here. And now if we go to payload, weight and balance, we can add people. We can add all these various things here, which include ladders to the engines, cargo doors, baggage carts. In fact, we'll put some of those out. Baggage cart rear, baggage cart door. We will pop open these. Actually, no, we'll leave those in a minute because we're going to put some people in the airplane. Let's put 6 people in, shall we? And yes, there's a bathroom. We'll have a look at that one. Let's get their packages in there, shall we? And we click Make It So. And this puts our 2 ground crew guys operating the various tasks. Now you'll notice as they complete the tasks, things happen. Like the door gets opened by the ground crew. Then they go and set up the air stairs so you can get your passengers on board. Boom. And they will start to load the passengers as tasks. Now you'll notice around here they've opened the cargo door and they're loading the cargo. And you'll see them appearing. Is that not insane? Like, that is so cool. The baggage all appeared. Huh. They're loading it in real time. Now, external textures are okay. It's relatively realistic to what the actual aircraft looked like, which was tons of rivets. I think it's a little matte, though. The finish is a little bit matte on this version. Maybe it's just the United Airlines one, but it looks a little bit flat. Now, the actual surface detailing is rather nice. Look at how scratched and buffed that is. I love it. Those big, smooth tyres from the early airliners. Now, this looks weird to a lot of people, but this is realistic. It has no gear doors. So the entire gear well is external. So it's sealed to the outside of the actual wing. So that's accurate. You've got the channel there, which it folds back through on each side. So it's retractable, but they're not out of the way. So this is a bit like the DC-3. Lot of similarities, of course. That was Douglas, but this is Boeing. So you can see a definite family lineage, even though they're not even the same manufacturer. Look at those. Ha! Bulbs in the wing. Now, we are going to go inside real quick, because I discovered this previously, and this is amazing. You can open the bathroom door. There we go. Let me just go around here. Yeah, I can open that. And I can set up the actual jump seat on there. But we are going to open it because this is so freaking cool. Oh, I can't do anything with those. But I can go into the bathroom. Want some hand soap? You can have some hand soap. Now, there's a click spot here for the water I found, but I don't know how to make it function. I don't know how to do something to the water tank, but there was a click spot around here somewhere. I could be losing my mind, so that might be a thing, but I'm pretty sure there was a click spot here last time I loaded the plane in. But you got hands up at least. Unfortunately, I don't think you can actually... Oh, God. I pressed that button again, which stops me doing... Did it? There we go. It just does that weird reset out to a 0 point. But this aircraft is super cool in terms of all the functionality. Cockpit interior, or cabin interior. You'll notice you step over the wing spar here with these little steps. So you do kind of climb up there a little bit, but there's headroom. You can hear the clock ticking away as well, which is super cool. Ventilation. Can't close the curtains, but that's a small thing. You've got reading lights there, of course. Very much like a train carriage. In fact, would be my best comparison here is it's a train carriage in the air. A decently nice train carriage. Now this is open because I had it open last time I was in the aircraft. But you can open and close the pilot's door. Isn't that awesome? Okay, so we're in here, we're on this page. So we don't need this anymore. We're going to make it to the next page. Now this is how you can do an actual manual full realistic engine start. I'm not doing that because it takes a long time. It's ridiculously loud and I keep screwing it up. I don't want to sit here for 20 minutes doing an engine start when I'm going to break it. I'll show you the procedure. Then I'm going to start it with Control-E, which it does allow you to do as well, because on the next page, you can choose to have the realistic engine start on or off. You can turn on the malfunctions and failures on and off, and they're built into how you handle the plane. So based on how you operate the aircraft, you can do that. Gear fairings. Let's have a look at that. They're installing them. What do these look like? Oh, they're there on the actual... Oh, neat. So it's this bit here, this metal covering. That is El Nito. I like the oil on there as well. So you can have those on or off. It's rather epic, isn't it? Right, let's go back here and... I could have sworn I saw a ladder a second ago. Did I see a ladder? No, it's the cart at the front for loading. Oh, that front door opens, doesn't it? Let's have a look at what that looks like. I'm sorry, I'm like a kid in a candy shop right now because this is exciting. Where would that be? Front cargo door. Yep, the front cargo goes in through the nose cone. Which is, again, super neat. You've got a hatch down there. Can I open this manually? I cannot. The shame. Baggage cart rear baggage door, ladder left, right. Yep, we'll get rid of those. So loading platform and door, and they're taking care of those now. So, let's get the ladder up to the left engine. We'll do it with an example with this, and we'll get them to attach the starter crank. So, we'll be able to go Control 6, which takes you here, and you can actually operate this yourself, but that's a massive pain. So for now, we're going to go through getting everything set up. So, let me get rid of the yoke for you. Now you'll have your pull to off master ignition. You'll have your magnetos here. You'll have cabin warning lights there. You'll have your tank selectors. Off, left, right, aux, etc. You'll have left and right for fuel distribution to the engine. So red is fuel, of course. we have here the battery. Just cycling all my actual controls on my yoke to make sure they're on, because there can be some conflicts. You have to make sure you set them correctly. So you have to cycle things. Even though it leaves it in a certain state, the sim can be a little bit weird at times. So making sure I've got my props, mixtures, throttles, leave them about 40% or so. Down here we have rudder trim. We have aileron trim there. And we have trim here for the elevator. Fuses you can pull out. Nice and easy. Close that. There. Open it, and you got the fuse box. Replenish spare fuses. Huh. That is super cool, and you can lock it as well. So you've got a map light there. The detail in this cockpit is beautiful. I absolutely love it. Even down to every little functioning thing like the vents. Oh my god, that sounds like a cat being run through a blender. That's a horrific sound. Good god, that's squeaky. Someone get the WD-40 right now. Okay, so instrument layout in this, and it's described in the actual manual that when Lufthansa test pilots got hold of this, they thought it was weird and the American instruments were strange, and they are. Undercarriage position, which apparently needs to be right in front of the pilot. I guess, actually it should be, because consider the time, they're transitioning across to retractable gear aircraft. So they're used to having the wheels down all the time. So needing to put that right up front in front of the pilot is important, and they're used to flying VFR, so artificial horizon really isn't that important to be in front of you. Different times. Directional gyro. You have OAT. We have engine temperature gauge. And actually, that's the engine temperature there. Fuel. And we can check that by going plunge it, and it applies pressure. And it'll show us how much we've got. We've got about 20 in that tank and about 20 in that tank, or 30. Maybe 35. Okay, so it's settling down. So we've got a master priming valve, which is set to on. We're going to select our left engine. Was that a right engine? Either way, we'll prime that. Prime that. Parking brake on. Now this is how you see your manifold pressure as different, because this is one instrument for both and one needle. Of course, we have usual aviation instruments. Airspeed is here. RPM is here. I mentioned you could tap on these, didn't I? Yeah, that is awesome. I love that. Okay, so instrument lights. Let's look at lights before we take off and do anything else with that, because I'll have my hands full. Feathering buttons right here. Those are all on. That is on. Off. And let's go to nighttime, shall we? Okay, and you'll notice here we have these rheostats to brighten and darken the experience. Very moody, I like it. Radio light backlighting there. So it's functional, but effective. And you've got lighting in the cabin, of course. Somebody want their little reading light on? They can. Right, prepare your eyeballs, because we're going back to the daytime. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to knock all these lights off. Over here, so compass, instruments, and dome lights, courtesy lights, and cabin lights are off. Okay, so we are ready to try and start this thing. Now, I'm expecting it to not work. Let me check that we're actually on the right settings, so realistic engine start there. I'm going to try and start this thing. We have it set up. Everything should be correct. It's complicated. First, we get the fuel pump wobble here. And we wobble up our fuel pressure. And we wind up the flywheel. Our engineer is doing that for us. To make sure we have fuel pressure there. You'll notice it drops, of course, because it's not being drawn by the engine yet. So to keep it manually at about the right level. Wait for this to reach peak RPM and the sound. Keep the window closed because it's super loud. And I screwed it up. I don't know how to do it properly. I keep messing it up. I'll be honest, this is actually complicated. Starting a 1930s radial without an inbuilt starter. And I was able to do it on the A2A B17, for example. I could start that, but it has the inertial flywheel system built in. So we're turning that off. And we're putting this away. And we're going to start the engines this way. There's a weird bubble connection sound when it does that, which is really strange, but obviously you don't get the wonderful smoky, vibrant startup when you do it this way, but it works for the purposes of testing it. I honestly... Listen how it gets quieter the more the window's closed. That's cool. It's so scalar. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I can do this for review. I suck. I can't do it. That's on me, not them. Now you'll notice here our manifold is there, and my left engine is higher than the right. So we're going to switch this across. You'll notice the needle's different, yeah? Okay, so why won't the airplane move even with our chocks removed? Oh wait, because they're not. The parking brake's on. Could you get rid of the chocks for me, please, engineer? We're ready to depart. So we'll be looking out the window and giving the chocks out symbol. The two thumbs away from each other. And what I... Oh, it's a bit quick when I actually give it too much power. We'll come down the actual apron here, then turn rather than going to the taxiway. What I love about this thing is look at all the look at the engine controls. They're all juddering around. Oh, need to turn my head on. There we go. Everything moves in this aeroplane. Everything feels alive. This is the most alive aircraft I've actually experienced in this simulator yet. And that's saying something. This actually feels like it's very much a vibrant, living, breathing machine. I want to learn how to do these engines properly, and I've definitely screwed it up. But it is so vibrant. Where's the turning point there? Using differential engines to try and turn it because it's not the greatest ground handling aircraft. And this is a small airfield. Okay. Move us around here. Come on. Turn the aeroplane. Typical tail dragger feeling of a high nose. It's not a big deal. You'll even see the radio antenna on the nose there moves as well. But look at all that. Especially at low RPM, you'll see it all move so much more. Everything shakes more when it's at low RPM. It's amazing. Right. Let's get this thing rolling, shall we? Advancing the throttles to about 36 inches for takeoff power. And we're going to rattle our way down the runway. Let's make these a little louder for the takeoff, shall we? Tails up. Speed's coming up. Try and keep it straight. There we go. Oh, peel it off the runway a little bit here. It's taking a bit longer than at full throttle. I let it drift a bit there. And I am not fast enough yet. Oh god. Okay, we're gonna have to cheat a little bit here and give a bit more power. I have screwed up horribly. That's not running, that's bloody why. Yeah, no wonder it was swinging around on me. Jesus. Pull the power. And we're climbing now with actual power on us. Dear God. I took off with one engine. Yeah, that'll do it. Let's go outside, take a look at the landing gear coming up. It's a weird modelling thing right there. It looks like two sections were chopped together, and there's a step in the texture. Not sure what that is about. Okay, so if we'll excuse my... I don't know how that happened. I lost an engine on takeoff roll. Managed to peel it into the air. I wouldn't be able to start that again myself, of course, given the time period, but I might have been able to air start it, so I'm not sure. I'm not an expert in that regard, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, so that was an interesting takeoff. Last time I tried to take off in this, it was fine. So, not sure why I decided to dump an engine on takeoff. But it did. And it restarted, so it must be okay. Okay, so our power is reduced here as we're cruising along. Aircraft is very malleable. Behaves itself quite nicely. No real inconsistencies. It feels like a heavy, sluggish 30s airliner. I do rather like it, actually. And as I mentioned before, everything seems so vivid. Like, even at higher RPMs, everything's moving around down here. Let's pull the props back here. Make those a bit more fine. Manage our RPMs slightly better. Pull our mixture back a little bit here. We don't need to be quite as rich. The plane will remember what you've done to it, so you'll have to actually do maintenance in the tabs, of course, on here. Where we go down to oil system, radio equipment, and yes, you can do radio navigation. It has a full database you can put in, and it even lets you put in a squawk code in case you are actually operating online and need to do that. So it has you covered. Okay, so by the way, you know how much this thing costs? 20 bucks. Yes, you heard me correctly. That's not a misinterpretation, 20 bucks. They said they want to see if people will buy it more if it's cheaper, and that they believe the prices in general are too high in the sim world, and that he'll probably make back the same money if he sells less copies for more and more copies for less. So more people can get into it and enjoy it, which is what he wants. More people to enjoy the product. I agree with this approach, and my god, this is $20. This has been a year of work, the developer said, but I love it. It's complicated and it outfoxes me, and yes, I've basically spent an hour and a half playing with this before I reviewed it, so I'm not an expert in the engines, I'll admit that. But I love it. It's so vivid, so real. It behaves beautifully, and I love it. Let's bring her around and put her in for a landing here. So, listen to this when I... Old school 30s horn there, on the dash, big light, my gear's up. Yeah. This is basically telling pilots at the time period, hey, your landing gear... Yeah. Your landing gear isn't down. Like, the big indicator right in front of you, and that's the logic for it, is... They were not used to the aircraft with retractable gear, so they needed the warning. Shut up! Oh no, that's telling me my RPM was too low and the engine's about to stop. Let's not do that. Am I too high? There's a good chance of that. Listen to the low RPM rattle here. No, I think we're okay. Just about 85, 86 miles an hour right now. A little bit off heading. We'll straighten her up as we approach. There's a roof hatch. I'll show you that afterwards, by the way, because I'm not doing it while I'm on final approach. Alright, let's put the power on here. We'll keep it at about 80. Let's put our props fine forwards. Mixture rich. Gear is confirmed not down. Gear down. Is my gear down? It is. Okay, that's as far as it goes, apparently. I'm seesawing around here. This is an awful approach. I do apologize. Let me shut up. Yes, engine RPM. Let's straighten this thing up here. A little bit of rudder. There we go. Let's bring her down here. Little bit of a slipsy doodle. Straighten her up here. Okay, we're nicely set up there. Yes. Side drift. Over to this side of the runway. Not on the center line. Oh. I guess it wasn't down. Well then, I had a gear failure. That's kind of cool. Oh my god, that noise. I don't know what that noise is, but it is unhappy. Bent up propellers? Oh my god, that is nice. Dear God, what is that sound? What kind of sound is this hellish noise? Well, I'll mute this. But we all want aircraft with failures, and this gives us that. Most glorious landing ever? No, terrible. I assumed that was where my gear was meant to be. I thought that was the indicator, but it wasn't. It was actually up, or not fully down. Of course, I did a visual check there, which, in theory, no one could look out of any of these windows and see they're down, which is unfortunate. And no mirrors on the engine nacelles to kind of look down either, which would have been helpful. Although, what is that? That's a ventilation port there. Could the forward window seen it? No, I don't think so. Could have done a tower flyby. Tower would have told me they're not fully down. We could have done things. There is actually a manual pump to emergency lower the gear, which I didn't do. But the props are all bent up and the gear actually collapsed because it wasn't fully deployed. I essentially did a tower flyby and they said they looked down to you. I landed and they weren't locked. Because in the cockpit, there's not really a down and locked indicator, just a down and up. And I assumed that was right. It wasn't. That should be down. And they were not. I love this. The gear randomly failed on me. That's cool. Like, oh, maybe I shouldn't put the fairings on when I actually put the landing gear up and down. Who knows? But this is cool. It crashed realistically too. The gear collapsed and the plane flopped. I had a partial down gear. This plane has so much soul. I love it. I'm going to shut up talking now. But for $20, go and buy this thing. I need to practice it more because I want to be able to fly the hell out of this aeroplane. I like it a lot. Don't judge my flying. Also, if we had crashed and it was an emergency... Oh no! Oh no! Help, help, help! We've got to get out of here. The plane is on fire and I don't want the passengers. Let's climb out the roof, shall we? Yeah, even that works. And it only opens as far as the cable lets it. Dude. I love this thing. I'm going to break it a lot. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.